Hello and welcome to Talk of the Game, and what a game it was. It's just finished. West Ham United 2, Chelsea 1 in the fourth round of the EFL Cup, and that's West Ham United into the quarter-finals, just 3 games away from the final potentially. Gonzo, what are you feeling right now?
Ecstatic. Pleased for Bilic, actually. Really pleased for Bilic. Almost a third clean sheet in a row as well, was it not? So I just thought it was absolutely brilliant. It's almost back to, I know the formation was different, but he was almost back to his counter-attacking style. Spun a little surprise, but stuck with his 3 at the back. I'm ecstatic for us. Pleased for Bilic, sort of pleased for the stadium. Delighted for West Ham. Really, really chuffed. And nice to stick one up Chelsea, quite frankly.
Mitch, if you could write a script before the game, it wouldn't be much different to what we've just seen, would it?
No, that was it reminded me of the West Ham of last season. It was sort of very hard hitting, very passionate, very hard working, and obviously very effective as well. So I'm hoping that, well, if we continue that, if we play like that every week, there's no reason why we can't challenge for top 7 again.
Mitch, what were you thinking at the start, just before the goal, between the goal and the kickoff? What were you thinking when you were watching that?
Do you mean in terms of team selection and everything, or?
Well, just everything. The way we came out of the traps, went at Chelsea, we had Chelsea on the back foot. The crowd were up for it.
Yeah, it was almost like, because obviously I was watching from home, and it was like a completely different stadium. Obviously, as a season ticket holder, when I go for the league games, it's almost a bit like a morgue. It's very quiet. The fans don't seem settled, but it was literally like watching us playing a different stadium. It just goes to show that we can generate atmosphere in that stadium, and obviously under the lights as well. It was good, and as I said, we were very hard working from kickoff, and it's something that we need to continue consistently now.
Gonzo, we were knocking on the door. We were knocking, and what a goal it was!
Yeah, unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. Still in a state of shock, as I always remind everybody. The game's just finished, so we're recording live in case you're watching this tomorrow. Brilliant. And Noble played a big part, as he did in both goals, of course. And he had a great game today, Noble. And it was so nice to see Kouyate rising above Terry, who'd just been drafted back into the team. It's fantastic.
I don't even know if he rose. He kind of had to duck. I mean, I've seen that goal about 15 times. That's one of the best goals I've ever seen, I think. The cross from Noble, I'm not taking anything away from Noble. He was under serious pressure. I think it was Willian that was right on him. He had 2 touches, one to touch it, he got his head up, the other one was to cross it. The cross wasn't, sometimes a goal can come from the cross, that the striker just has to give it a little flick and it's a goal. It's in the cross. This one was not in the cross. If Cech didn't get that, it wasn't going in. There was not enough power in it to just flick it. Cech had a lot to do. He had to change the direction of it completely. He had John Terry on his neck. He didn't have enough power in the cross. That's one of the best headers I think I've ever seen. I have enjoyed watching that goal 15 times. It was just a thing of beauty. I was almost in shock it went in. Do you know when he took the header? I thought, is that in? That can't be in. He can't have scored that. But he had 18 yards out. A header from that range is just not something you normally hear of. But what incredible. Mitch, let's talk about, it could have been controversial, but we probably don't really care that much. The fans went up in arms. Kante came through the back of Dimitri Payet. Was that a penalty for you, Mitch?
I've seen them given. It's a bit hard to say because it seems to happen a million miles an hour, and even when you watch it in slow motion, it still seems to go really quickly. I haven't even seen one replay that shows sort of clear contact with Payet's ankle or leg, whatever it was. But I've seen them given, certainly, but I'm in no position to give a definite answer on it, I'm afraid.
Gonzo 1-0 up. It was kept going at Chelsea, but being the West Ham of West Ham, you're always thinking, we need that second goal. Antonio brushes Louis away. Oh, David Louis, see you later. I'm off. Lovely ball into Lanzini, and he fluffed it. Did that worry you a little bit? Did you think that was our chance? We needed to take that chance.
No, I wasn't worried because we were playing with such endeavour. And as Mitch said, it did look like the West Ham of last season. It was the West Ham of old. And you just spoke about the goal, the penalty. Was it a penalty or wasn't it? That was a great build-up as well. And Lanzini flicked that little ball through. So Lanzini was playing well. In fact, I thought, I don't know if the referee played an advantage, but I thought actually the foul was on Lanzini rather than the penalty on Payet. So I wasn't worried. So obviously, I was slightly disappointed in going, but we kept on attacking. And you speak about Antonio Luiz. He played a masterstroke with Antonio today. Bilic did. I think he was playing up front. He was so busy everywhere, but we almost played with no striker. But if there was a striker, you'd probably say it was Antonio. Played more central because Fernandes, who I'm sure you'll want to speak about in a bit, played more on the right-hand side. And he scared the life out of David Luiz. And that's who I want to see playing up front for our next game.
We'll speak about individual performance towards the end. Obiang had that 30-yarder, which stung the palms of Begovic. Towards the end of the half, though, Chelsea came into a little bit. Mitch, heart and mouth in Batshuayi. We all expected him to turn up and score. He got his chance, 6 yards out, blazed over. Mitch?
Yeah, we did ride our luck a little bit, but at the same time, as Gonzo's pointed out, so did Chelsea. We had a lot more chance than they did. But all in all, I think we defended very well. Obviously, sometimes you do have to hope that your opponent misses, and there was a big let-off, that chance for them. But I think that we worked hard, we got stuck in, and we deserved any luck we got.
Well, Oscar went close just before the half-time as well, with a little toe poke that took a deflection and went wide. Went in at half-time, 1-up, we came out, and we didn't have to wait long until our second goal. Mitch Fernandes, could argue if there's a player who deserved on the pitch, it was possibly him, but beautiful finish.
Yeah, it was a class finish, and Fernandes is so confident on both feet. He just a whole new dimension with him, where he can cut in, he can play it wide, and as you see, he can cut in, he can get a shot away on his left foot. He's a very talented player. He's very highly rated in Europe. I was quite excited when we signed him, and he looks like he could be sort of our diamond in the rough this season.
Oscar decided to give me a heart attack and hit the side net from a corner. He flicked into the side net, and I had a little bit of a heart attack anyway. The cheeky little monkey. If you don't do that in future, that'd be much appreciated. And then there was a hazard in West Ham's box, but fortunately it hit the bar, and then IU went close for West Ham as well. Doing well to get on the end of a slightly overhit cross. And then right at the last minute, Gary Cahill scored, but we're not going to talk about that because it's quite pointless and no effect on the game whatsoever. So Gary Cahill, bugger off, you're not getting a mention on this. I'm going to twist it up. I did this before. We normally leave man of the match till the very end, but I'm going to twist it up. Before we speak about individual performances, I don't want this to influence your man of the match. So Mitch, who was your man of the match? There's a lot of nominations, obviously.
I think Fernandes for me. Playing in a position, considering he's playing in a position that he isn't particularly used to, is not what I would consider his natural position. I think that he played very well. He added, like I've already said, he added a whole new dimension to our game today. For someone so young as well, he just completely bossed it when going forward and defending. So for me, I have to give it to him.
I think a lot of people are going to agree with you, possibly. Gonzo, you agree with Mitch?
No, but it's not a bad shout. It's an excellent shout. I'm very, very excited about him. Unlike Mitch, I didn't know he was one of the talented youngsters in Europe. I'd never heard of him before we signed him, in all honesty. I mean, he looks a really, really good player. So I'm not going to go with him, but excellent. I'm going to go with Antonio because I just thought he was menacing, also out of position today. I thought he was absolutely brilliant, full of energy, full of endeavour, and just caused them problems all night. But you could give it to 5 or 6 West Ham players, I think.
Well, to prove the point, I'm going to give it to someone different to the two of you. But before I do that, before we talk about individuals, we're only halfway through the show, probably. Make sure you subscribe while we're here. We'll be back on Friday noon with our preview for Everton. We've got lots of stuff coming. I'm going to go with Winston Reid. Man, oh, Jesus. Every time the ball come in, away it went. Winston Reid was there. He was just on the end of everything. Gonzo, turn your phone off. On the end of everything was Winston Reid. I thought he was just absolutely fantastic today. But let's do some honourable mentions. Mitch, he's unbeaten since when he plays for us this season. We're unbeaten. He's come into centre midfield. Pedro Obiang. Can the geezer do anything wrong?
He's a very tidy player. I can remember when he was at Sampdoria, he was sort of known as a box-to-box midfielder, but we've seen him more in a position where he just sits and holds. And he's so tight in the ball. I was Like when he lost possession about twice today, I was actually shocked because he's someone who just gets hold of the ball and he turns a few players and he plays a nice simple pass forward. And forward being the important word there, because that's something that we've missed in central midfield.
He basically out-Kante'd Kante. Gonzo, another player I want you to chat about very quickly. Mark Noble. He gets a lot of stick. You can be quite critical of him sometimes. Not as critical as Scott, who we have on sometimes. Jesus, he hates Noble. But you're quite, I think, quite fair. I'm quite biased the other way, whereas I'll praise him when he has an average performance. So what did you make of Mark Noble? Do you think he's improved over the last couple of games and today just took it up another notch?
Yeah, he was so good today. I felt guilty for criticising him last week, if that makes sense. He was brilliant. A couple of times he was dribbling past players, was in tight corners. At one point I think he was surrounded by 3 Chelsea players and managed to do, some quick feet, some trickery, and got out of trouble. Was involved in both goals, of course. He provided the pass for the Fernandes goal and the pass for Kouyate's goal. Excellent today. But like I say, you could point out 2 or 3 just out of it. That phone call was Thomas Down, who's actually just outside the ground at the moment. He's pretty desperate to tell me something, it seems. So that was a phone call.
What I will say about Noble, first of all, fantastic achievement getting 2 assists when you only pass it sideways and backwards. But I think this is why he struggles sometimes. He needs people ahead of him to shift the arse. And against Sunderland, people ahead of him didn't shift it. They stand there looking at him going, what are you going to do? And Noble's not that type of player. He will play the easy pass. So when you make the run, you might not do a defence splitting pass for you, but he will give it to you to run through the gap yourself, I think. I think that sums up Noble. And he's got the perfect partner beside him with Obiang. Mitch, have we found the perfect formation?
I think we have. It's so radically different to what we usually play under Bilic that it's just it's added that unpredictability that we had last season back to our game. Obviously, the 3 at the back partnership. You talk about a central midfield partnership, but for me, I don't think we could wish for a better back 3 at the moment, especially with the 2 wingers tracking back as well to support them. I think that this is a formation we should definitely stick with. The only problem I have is that, like we saw against Sunderland, maybe we could do a 2 up front sometimes and lose out on one of the midfielders. But I think this is a formation we should definitely stick with.
I think the formation gives us flexibility to change it during the game very easily and very quickly as well. We've seen tonight Bilic's subs. Well, Gonzo, what do you think about Bilic's subs? Do you think he took a bit of a gamble when he took Feghouli on for Fernandes? 2 up, where you think, well, bringing on a winger for someone who's defensively been quite stable tonight? But I think Fernandes had a knock by the looks of it. But he's something we both have been very critical of Bilic this season and last season for us, his substitutions. Sometimes he does like for like, you're thinking, what are you doing? But recently, I feel he's actually done the right subs. Against Palace, he did the right subs at the right time. And tonight, I think he's done the same again. He took on Ayew and Zaza, fresh legs up front. Chelsea again. You put men forward. We've got pace and fresh legs on that break. And it showed a few times. We didn't capitalise on it, but it showed a few times.
Well, a substitution is always a good substitution if it works. And each one, Feghouli, Zaza and Ayew, all looked really good when they came on. I think he didn't realise that Fernandes had a knock until quite late, which is why he changed the substitution. There was the 4th official didn't have the wrong number. I mean, he had obviously instructed Lanzini to come off. I think at that point, he was going to probably put Payet more central and put Feghouli wide. But they were good substitutions and they all played well. And it probably gives all the substitutes hope that they might get a start at the weekend. Not that I want them to. I think you go with that. As long as everyone's fit, you go with that team again.
People are going to think I'm weird for mentioning this player because it's going to feel the person that I'm going to talk about. You might think, why are you speaking about him? Randolph, okay? Now, people are going to think Adrian's not been playing bad recently, but I think you have to remember he's played Middlesbrough and Sunderland. For me, Randolph was fantastic tonight. Not just his saves, but his distribution. At one point, we had a goal kick. He put it right out into the touchline. Azpilicueta head out. Throw in for us halfway into Chelsea's half from a goal kick. And that's what I think we lack. with our Spaniard in goal, Gonzo. What do you think of Randolph? Am I just making too much out of it? But you know fine, I've been calling for Randolph for a while.
No, you're preaching to the converted, really, because as I've always maintained, Adrian is such a good shot stopper. If he had decent distribution, he would possibly be challenging De Gea, or would certainly be Spain's number 2, at least. And it is his distribution that lets him down. But his shot stopping is fantastic. And we're lucky, as we always say, it's turned into a bit of a cliche, we're lucky to have 2 good keepers. Randolph was exceptional tonight. I don't think you're weird. Well, I do think you're weird, but not for picking him out. No, he was brilliant, and I'm in total agreement with you.
Rich, anything else you want to talk about? Any last words? You want an overall comment on Bilic, the team, the game? Any last words from yourself?
Just generally, it was good to see Ayew back. Olympique Marseille, he was a fantastic player. Had a fantastic first few months with Swansea. So hoping that he can find his form again with us. I think he might. But yeah, it was good to see him back. That's all I've got to say.
Before you get my final word, we'll get the final word of the Mr. Regular co-host, Gonzo. Your final word?
Just absolutely delighted. It's onwards and upwards. I think line has been drawn in the sand at the Crystal Palace game, and I really do think that all the players are coming back at the right time. We got a glimpse of Ayew. Do you know what? It was just a real pleasure to get a glimpse of him. And from what I saw, the 3 or 4 touches, and right at the end, he tried to flick it over the Chelsea player's head, didn't he? And won the free kick. I thought there was a sort of wonderful naivety to us at the end, because in typical Bilic fashion, where really we should have been time wasted. I was like, where's your Alves? Where's your Busquets? Where's your Pepe when you need them? We needed someone rolling around pretending to be injured, clutching their knee when they've been hit in the face or something. And we're wonderfully naive. We carried on trying to attack, and I thought that was beautiful. So I just feel like we've got West Ham back.
Yeah, we left the dive into Chelsea. So they were at it. As soon as Costa came on, he was at it, diving. Hazard had a dive in the box as well. Chelsea were at the tricks today. We played a simple game. What I want to just say before we disappear is the change in the attitude of the players have been fantastic recently, the last couple of days. But tonight, it took a risk, because there was a couple of times when Hazard came on, as soon as he got the ball, Mark Noble, bang, into him. He got a booking, right enough. But Hazard went about 4 feet in the air and landed. And you could see Mark Noble with a little grin on his face after, as if say, welcome to West Ham, welcome to London Stadium, and welcome to this London derby. You ain't winning this one. And Hazard didn't impact the game at all. And I do think maybe it had the fact that Noble went pinging in on him. He took the booking. And there was a couple of times after where Noble had to duck out of challenges. And I thought, well, this is what you get for being on the booking. But that's what we've been lacking. We've become quite soft in the first few games. Watford, except West Brom, they bullied us. They were winning the first ball and the second ball. But tonight, we were winning the third ball tonight. And if we did it, we made sure that we gave the Chelsea player a kick. The one that Reed got booked for, now Costa stood in the ball and fell over. However, Reed tried to kick him. Reed tried to, you're not getting away from me freely, son. He tried to bring him down. And that is exactly what we have been missing recently. But guys, thank you very much for joining us. Make sure you comment below. Come on to our forum at hammerschat.com. The live draw hasn't quite been done yet, I don't think, but we'll be discussing who we've got in the next round on there. We're back on Friday with our preview of the Everton game, which should be a happy one, but we've got a bit of a headache. What do we do? Do we keep the same lineup? Do we bring in Ayew, etc.? We'll be discussing that. And also make sure you subscribe to our channel. And if you're on social media, it's facebook.com/HammersChat. It's Twitter @Hammers_chat. And on Instagram, it's HammersChat as well. But thank you for joining us. Mitch, say goodbye. No, he's not saying goodbye. Gonzo, say goodbye.
Yeah, he's not saying goodbye. I don't know if anyone's noticed. Mitch has got a pair of hair straighteners behind him on that brown cardboard box, and he looks wonderfully manicured. That's why we were 2 minutes late, because Mitch had to straighten his hair. Good night, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for joining us. Well done, West Ham. We're in the quarterfinals.